We are really doing this, aren't we? We have gathered here today, you and I, because you, like myself, like to yap. And I figure what better way to start off this YouTube channel than with a little end of year book tag, because 2024 was an insane reading year for me. We read over 200 books. So I'm gonna go through and answer a bunch of these questions to kind of summarize my reading year. And you'll also get a better understanding of my reading tastes and preferences. So sit down, grab a beverage, and prepare to just have me yapping my face off. Dr. Pepper Zero, strawberries and cream. So good. And we are just not holding back with this first question. Apparently, what was your most disappointing read of the year? Okay, I've read quite a few disappointing books, I'm not gonna lie, but the one that sticks with me and like actually pains me to no end is Taming Seven by Chloe Walsh. Now, this is a part of the Boys of Tommen series, which is one of my favorite series of all time. So I was so excited for this book to come out. This is Claire and Gibbs's story, and I just felt like it didn't do them justice at all. It felt very unfinished as well. Okay, rumor has it there might be another book on them. There was a lot of trauma that needed to be worked through that we didn't see. Just felt like the main focus wasn't enough on Claire and Gibbsy, and there was just a lot missing. What was the most underhyped book you read this year? No, I feel like I read a lot of underhyped books because I read a lot of indie fantasy romance books. But when I love it, I am getting on my Zoom and I'm yapping about it, okay? One of those books, this was a 6-star read for me, one of my favorite fantasy romance reads of the year, A Touch of Golden Madness. This is a dark urban fantasy romance in like a post-apocalyptic world with dystopian vibes. The magic system in this was so unique. We have like kinetic magic, elemental magic. Our FMC and MMC are both morally gray. That they are. We have like a reluctant allies to lovers situation, the slow burn, the tension, this romance combined with this insane plot. The ending of this book haunts me. This plot twist and this just traumatic ending. Also, our MMC, Griffin Silas, the man that you are, the emo sad boy, tortured soul that you are, he's also going a little bit mad. I love them. I love this. On the flip side, okay, what was the most overhyped book you read? Now, I don't even own this one, and that's when you know, because I do have a problem. Whatever I read on my Kindle, I'm buying it. Heartless Hunter. This was fine. I was just bored. And it was advertised to me as enemies to lovers. Enemies where? Enemies where? Where were they enemies? Because I felt like it was insta-lusty. You know what the romance gave me as well? Literally nothing. Nothing. I was so bored. There was nothing keeping me intrigued. So if you loved it, I love that for you. I do. I didn't. And that's okay. That's okay. What was a book that surprised you? Okay, one thing to know about me, I am mainly a fantasy romance and dark romance girly. So tell me why one sunny day, I woke up, it's like, you know what? I want to yeehaw today. I want to put on my cowboy boots. Cowboy romance. Let's get it. I was in my cowboy romance era this year, specifically my Elsie Silver era. Chestnut Springs series, probably the most surprising series to me that I loved so much. I devoured her books. Specifically, my favorite one of her books, Heartless. Not only was this my cowboy romance awakening, it was my single daddy awakening. Single dad nanny trope, where has that been all my life? Because please give me all of your recommendations in the comments, because Kate Eaton, the mouth on this man, the mouth on Elsie Silverman, like giggling and kicking my feet doesn't even cut it. Like my feet were gonna fall off. I was kicking so hard. I feel like my outfit is giving Dwayne The Rock Johnson. The next question is guys, I'm gonna leave that in. Next question. Who were your favorite book couples of the year? I narrowed this down to 3 or else we would be here forever. Starting off, Christian and Daisy. Christian and Daisy from Daisy Hates, which is a part of the Magnolia Parks universe. This series took a piece of my heart and that I will never get back. Another one of my all-time favorite series. This book, Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, one of my favorite books of all time. The amount that I think about Christian and Daisy probably isn't healthy, and I simply don't care. The ending of this book, if I think about it too hard, I'm going to cry. Listen, Jessa. If they don't get their happily ever after, then I read so many good series this year. I read the Zodiac Academy series, and I am a Blue Lance girly. I love them so much. They're also my favorite characters from this series. The professor-student trope is also going to do it for me every time. Lance Orion, everything they go through, how they just know each other more than they know themselves. Like, their relationship healed a piece of me. Now, a couple that brought me probably the most pain, also another one of my favorites, Joey and Aoife from Saving Six and Redeeming Six. Now, this is also a part of the Boys of Tommen series, which they are my favorite couple. These are my favorite books in the series. This will also give you the most pain. The amount of tears, their story hurts like nothing else. Like, rip your heart out, stomp all over it multiple times. I just love them. And the way Aoife is there for Joey, her strength cannot be glazed over. And Joey Lynch must be protected at all costs. Now, this next question asks me who were my favorite main characters. Now, all those couples I mentioned are some of my favorite main characters from this year. So I'm not gonna mention them. I narrowed it down to 3. Lana Mommy Myers from the Mind F series. This is a dark romance series. She is a serial unaliver on her revenge arc, okay? She's the morally gray one. Her boyfriend is the FBI agent on her case. You wanna talk about feminine rage? Yeah, it was the year of mothers. It was the year of feminine rage. We have Miss Diana. She is from the Gods and Monsters series, and the 3rd book, Dawn of the Cursed Queen, came out this year. God tier series. She is everything. She is unlike any FMC I have ever read. She is the standard. She is who I aspire to be, but never will be. Never will be. And last but not least, okay, my favorite psychopath. That would be Sir Killian Carson. He's from God of Malice, dark romance, a part of the Legacy of God series. There is, okay, when it comes to MMCs, there's obsessive, possessive, unhinged, and then there's Killian Carson. Yeah. He takes it to a whole other level, like morally black. True psychopath. He's also, get this, funny. He is hilarious. Did I say I love him? Because I do. I'm getting really dry. I also got my nails done recently. This color, I don't even know what it's called. I think this is my favorite color. Is it like a royal blue? New favorite author I discovered this year. Now, I didn't discover her because my bestie Bailey introduced me to her. That is Carrie Lake. And the first book I read by her was Nocticadia, one of my favorite reads of the year. She is the queen of dark gothic romance. Her writing is also so poetic and just beautiful. Perfection. If she writes it, I'm reading it. Now, this one was tough, okay? What was the happiest book you've read this year? Because to be quite honest, happy books aren't my thing. However, I gotta go back to my girl, Elsie Silver, because these books bring me so much joy, make me feel happy. I'm pulling out Wild Love because Ford Grant, because Grumpy Billionaire, okay? Because Brother's Best Friend. Elsie Silver can do no wrong. Now, what was the saddest book you read this year? Okay, I've read a lot of books that make me cry, but the saddest book, like genuinely the saddest, has to go to the Torment duet, specifically Torment Part 2, because it's the first book I've read without a happily ever after. Like, it's genuinely just heartbreaking. I would never. You couldn't pay me to read this again. Both of them 5 stars. I could not go through that pain ever again. Now, this is so dark. Probably the darkest books I've ever read. Please check your trigger warnings. This also, I don't even like to describe it as a romance. The FMC and MMC, their relationship, it's not romantic, but you will be manipulated into thinking it is at first. Oh, this messed with my head so much. It's so sad, and I can't recommend this to everyone, but if you do want to be in pain and cry a lot. This next question, oh my God, instantly, I'm like, I know, because this describes this goddamn book. Can you swear on YouTube? If not, that's probably gonna be a problem for me. What was I? Oh, okay. Next question. What was the most frustrating book you read this year? Now listen, 6-star book. I'm obsessed with this book. That is a love letter to whiskey. Still, to this day, the most frustrating book I've ever read. Ugh, this is second chance romance. It's like 15th chance, okay? These characters are toxic as hell. There is so much miscommunication. Throw in all of my least favorite tropes, and I still ate this up. I still devoured it. That is a sign of a phenomenal book to me. When toxicity is done right, listen, I'll say it, I love it. That's the only way I can be really engaged in contemporary romance, is if there's a lot of drama, toxic relationships, some sort of trauma. I don't know. I do not know what that says about me, but these two, like, I was sobbing, but also I would get emotional whiplash because I went from crying to feeling this visceral rage. So much anger towards them. I also read it in less than 24 hours, and this is long. Like, it was the type of book you picked up and you had to keep reading to get to the ending. What were your favorite covers of the year? Also easy, because Magnolia Parks, the UK covers, every single one of these covers in this series. Wait, Daisy Hates the Great Undoing, I think is probably my favorite. These are a work of art, and they also tell a story. I could stare at these forever. I got them on Blackwell's, free shipping to the US. I am so obsessed with them. A book you haven't stopped thinking about. I have to say it again. Daisy Hates the Great Undoing. This is, okay, I call them shower books. This is a shower book for me. What does that mean? It means when I need a good cry, my favorite place to do that cry is in the shower. And I will think about a book, and I will turn on my sad girl playlist. Olivia Rodrigo, Taylor Swift, okay, Gracie Abrams, because I'm just a girl. And I will blast that. I will think about this book, and I will sob my eyes out because I am nothing if not dramatic. What is in here? Like, my brain is addicted to it. Why am I sweating? An unpopular book you loved. Listen, I feel like a lot of times, books that a lot of people hate, for some reason they speak to my soul. Not all the time. From Blood and Ash. Listen. This is a series that you're either gonna love or hate. And it is valid when people do not like this. It is not for everyone. It's not without its flaws. It isn't. This is like a 4-star series for me, but I love it. I'm having so much fun reading this, especially with the prequel series intertwined. This plot, like, it is so insane. It is so complex. The amount of Easter eggs throughout, like, once everything starts to come together, it is so satisfying to me. And I mean, Castile, such an underrated book man as well. And listen, if you have been thinking about starting the series and you're just so on the fence because of all the hate it gets, like I was, just read the first book. I truly think that by the first book, after reading it, you can get a sense of whether or not this is going to be a series for you. I am vibing. I love it. We are here for the vibes. We are here for a good time. I'm easy to please. Now listen, okay? Don't come for me. Don't listen. A book you thought you'd love, but didn't. When the Moon Hatched. She's a thick boy. This was a slog for me to get through. Now, I love Sarah A. Parker. Her To Bleed a Crystal Bloom series, I devoured. So good. This one just wasn't for me, I think, at the end of the day. I really wanted it to be. And I can see why people love this. The writing was very long and drawn out. There were very long descriptions of things and prose, yet I still couldn't picture the world. I don't know. Listen, I'm saying all this. Excuses. I didn't like the FMC. Not even that I disliked her. I could not stand her. And my toxic reading trait at the end of the day is that if I do not like an FMC, it's going to completely remove me from the book. And do you know how infuriating that is? Because I will be able to see a book with an amazing plot line and components of it that I really love, but I cannot get over the fact that I cannot stand the FMC. But that wasn't entirely the case here with, like, me being really intrigued by the plot, but not being able to get into it because of her. No, the plot was also a bit boring to me. I didn't really like the direction it went in the end. It just fell flat. The romance also fell flat. I hear your voice. That meme has been, guys, I hope if you know what I'm talking about, that meme has been stuck in my head all day, all week, all month. This has been the funniest thing that's happened to the internet. This guy right here, don't even get me started. What was the most unique book you read this year? Hang on, sit down. Let me tell you about it. Let me tell you about it, because that is Fairy Tale. Now, are you listening? This book, where was I? Where was I going with that? I don't know. This book is not going to be for everyone. This is very different. However, if it finds the right people, I am confident that you will love it, that it will be one of your favorite books. I have never read anything like this. I never will read anything like this again. It is the best though to go in blind because it is insane. It will mess with your brain, but also the romance. Like, this is the epitome of I will find you in every lifetime. The author even has this disclaimer in the beginning that I'm going to read to you because it kind of says it all. Dear reader, Fairy Tale is a mix of gothic horror, fantasy, and paranormal fiction with a dash of history. But at its core, it's simply a love story. Before proceeding, there are a few disclaimers to address. If you're looking for a typical romance book, this isn't it. This is a long journey, and by that, I mean almost 1,000 pages. So if you're not a fan of complex narrative threads, lengthy books, or extreme slow burns, then this will not be the book for you. This is also not the book to skim, or you may find yourself lost in a sea of information, which is, at times, purposefully misleading. The plot is complicated, featuring a large cast of characters and 3 different timelines. Also, Eamon, I love that demon man. I have learned things about MMCs with a tail. The tail. I'm not mad about the tail. A book you read this year that you would reread. Now, I read a lot of books this year that I would reread, which is insane, but I picked the book that I will be rereading the soonest. Like, I plan to reread this entire series in January. And this is the House of Devil series. Specifically, the 3rd book, City of Lies and Legends, came out this year. Listen to me when I say this. This is my favorite fantasy romance series next to Throne of Glass. I know, bold statement. This also has my #1 book boyfriend in it, Darian Castle, who I could write a whole thesis on Darian Castle. And it's also the way he ruined all other MMCs for me. This series, it feels like home. It does. This is my comfort series, but it also hurt me. This is urban fantasy romance. The romance too, like, one of my favorite slow burns in the 1st book, but the plot combined with the romance is what makes it so special. The plot is so complex and unique and well developed without being confusing. It's also, Kayla's writing is so immersive. Like, you genuinely feel like you're watching everything take place through these characters' eyes. The action and battle scenes especially, like, have my heart beating out of my chest. The last 150 pages of these books will have you so beyond unwell, which I love. You also get one of my favorite found families. In the 2nd book, it becomes multi-POV, and each character has such a well flushed out story and purpose, and you also get emotionally attached to them too. There's just, I could talk about this. I could do a whole video on this series. Maybe I will. Okay, and last but not least, I know you're sad that it's almost over, because I'm sad that it's almost over, okay? A book you wish you read this year. My, like, TBR cart over there is, like, crying because there are so many books that I wish I read and didn't get around to this year that hopefully I will get to. In 2025, I can't make any promises though. But the first one that I think of, because it's just been on my mind so much lately, is Flock, the Ravenhood trilogy. So many people ask me if I've read this or are telling me to read this because they know I love emotional damage and they tell me it's going to make me cry. It's so many people's Roman Empire series and I'm just like, want to read it so bad, why haven't I? Am I scared of it? I don't know, but I am going to read it in January. Mark my words, okay? I need to know what it's all about. I do. That really took a lot out of me. I'm tired. I need a nap. Now, honestly, I just need to go be horizontal with a filthy, smutty book and maybe a sweet treat. That's all I have for you today.